and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got two quick things here tonight. I want to mention there's an open house on route redesign for the Winona Transit Service. The city of Winona will be holding a public open house regarding for the Winona Transit Service route redesign from 3 to 6 on Tuesday, February 26, 2019, at which time city staff will be presenting and seeking input on the proposed transit routes. The open house will be held in the City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 208 Lafayette Street. And then I just want to say a big thank you to the street department and the snow removal crews out there who I think have done a great job. We've heard from a few that maybe don't think so, but I think most of us can appreciate the difficult task that there is for these folks to get out there when you get a foot of snow or 13 inches of snow, or the 6 feet that my driveway got. But it's a tough job, and I think they do a very good job, and I just want to say thank you to them. And that's all. City Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was going to say the same thing. I appreciate the efforts of the city staff to remove the snow, and by and large the patience of the public during this historic snow month that we're having, and it sounds like there's more to come. So we're doing our very best, and we'll keep at it until the snow gives up in July or whatever.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Peterson.
Here.
Councilman Thurley.
Here.
Muller.
Here.
Alexander. Here. Iden. Borzakowski.
Here.
Scholmeyer.
Here.
Under the required public hearings, item 2.1 is the 2015 Garvin Heights Road rezoning from Ag NR to rural residential.
All right, this is a required public hearing, so I'll declare the public hearing open. And Luke, are you going to explain all this to us and the public?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At this time, we have a fairly straightforward rezoning request from Lloyd Jacob and Gloria Jacob. The property is located at 2015 Garvin Heights Road. It's 2 parcels combined, a total of 10 acres. The purpose of the rezoning is to facilitate continued agricultural use in the property, which is currently zoned agricultural and natural resources, and then move toward rural residential, which is reflective of the single-family zoning to the east and the continued development in the area, as well as the desire of the property owner to subdivide the northern portion of the property to have his home, which is on a combined parcel at this point, onto a separate parcel. It would require 18,000 square feet under the rural residential requirements rather than 10 acres under the agricultural natural resources requirements, which he does not currently meet for that future subdivision. No future development for these properties is planned at this time, and it will be continued to use for the private residence of Lloyd Jacob and the continued agricultural use of the property.
Okay. Anybody here that wishes to speak to this topic? I'll ask again if anybody wishes to speak. And one final time, anybody else wish to speak? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask if there's a motion from the council.
I'd make a motion to introduce the attached ordinance and accept the 2 attachments.
Second. Motion by Michelle and seconded by Al. Any further discussion?
Just I want to point out that the Planning Commission, when they considered it, voted unanimously to recommend the approval.
Okay.
And then there were following findings, so that goes along with our issue here. So.
All right. Anything else? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Under the petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is the sign and banner schedule.
Make a motion to approve the list.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Paul. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.2 is a request for St. Martin's Strawberry Festival in Sinclair Park on Sunday, June 9th.
Move to approve that request.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by Paul. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.3 is a request for the Hope Harbor Donut Run at Sinclair Park on May 25th.
Move to approve that request. Second.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by Eileen. Any discussion? Well, they did this last year, didn't they? Yeah, okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Item 3.4 is a request to eliminate 1 hour and 2 hour parking on 5th Street between Center and Lafayette.
Make a motion to introduce the attached ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by Paul. Discussion? Al?
Well, I just think this is a good move because I think there is a demand, at least I've heard from people who say there is demand for longer-term parking in that area. And with the building with the former YWCA site that's going on, it'll only get, increase the demand.
Anything else? Not? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Under unfinished business, item 4.1 is to award the contract for the Huff Street Trunk Highway 61 traffic signal and pedestrian facility improvements. The low bidder was Pember Companies with a bid of $573,903.75.
I'd make a motion to accept the award of the contract to Pember.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by George. Good to see that the second time around is much better than
Good call.
first. Paul?
Yeah, so this is just our share of this project, not the county and the state share? Or is this the whole cost of the whole project?
The city shares outlined under the engineer's estimate,
Oh,
$193,500.
thanks. That's it?
Anything else?
Just a note that it's $5,570.09 above the engineer's estimate, so it's much better for the community than the earlier.
$50,000 lower than last August.
And I believe MnDOT even agreed to pick up the extra, so very nice of
Do
them.
you have any idea of the timeline when the construction would start?
I'm not, you gotta be any time yet,
Okay.
this summer.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the Bluff Traverse Master Plan Regional Designation.
I'd make a motion to approve the attached resolution and direct staff to submit the application.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? Paul?
Well, I just want to say, I mean, we were talking earlier about how important it is to have plans and certain things in place for federal grants for the airport work that we're looking at possibly doing. And this designation, I think, is really, really important in order to get those applications a really thorough review and give us favorable opportunities to get some grants for the trail. So I'm really glad that we're going to get this designation.
I'd like to thank the staff for following up so quickly once that master plan was approved. Anything else? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Item 5.2 is the Bluff Traverse Master Plan for the DNR grant application.
Make a motion to approve the attached resolution. Second.
Motion by Michelle and seconded by Eileen. Discussion? Yeah. Nope, I'm sorry. We'll go with Al and then Eileen.
Okay, sorry. This requires a 25% match, but as I read it, it says that the city has to upfront the entire amount, and then once the project is done, get 75% of the funding back. My question is, and this would be more staff related, that by doing this, we're not shorting any other projects that the city has coming forward, such as our street projects and things like that.
That's correct. We would not be.
Would not be.
We would find the funds out of another fund. You do a short-term
Okay.
funding of the project, And then you just reimburse that account when the money from the state comes in.
And another thing I noticed on the resolution, that it says that the city of Winona says that the city will maintain that trail for a period of not less than 20 years. And again, the same question. By committing to this, does that mean then that other funds will be lessened because of the requirements? 20 years is a long time for, for this kind of, I don't know what kind of maintenance a trail requires, but I'm sure over time and weather and use, there will be some maintenance on it. Would this impact any other programs in the next 20 years? I know that's a kind of a facetious question, but I really want to go into this, if I'm going to support this, knowing that this will not have an impact on other just as deserving parks and recreation programs that the city may or may not undertake.
Ongoing maintenance would be no different than fixing up any other facility in the city. So yes, we would be having to come through a budget process and adding funds to keep the trails
But would this
updated.
have priority over other things because we've made this commitment?
Would it have, no, I don't think it would have
In other
priority, but, we would have to maintain it, obviously, for insurance purposes, if nothing else. Plus the whole fact of this project, as Chad's pointed out from the beginning, is to make sure that these trails are very sound ecologically, and so that we won't have runoff and those types of things.
And that's one of the positives that I see in this program.
Mayor and Council, I would only add that this is property we already own and need to maintain. So this certainly adding this type of, as we like to say, world-class trail system is going to certainly take extra maintenance, to use a term. But again, as a reminder, this is other than the areas that we're trying to gather easements on or traverse private property with their approval. This is property that we already own and should be maintaining.
Irene first.
And I know the trail segments that this is looking at are the shared use and the hiking. Are there any, as we move forward in this process, is there a way we can make sure that we're keeping it even in this way, where there's trails that people of differing abilities can use, so we're not only pushing for the trails that are only used by like high impact, highly active people, and we can make sure that we're looking at trails that are accessible to everyone.
We also want to make sure that we're balancing trails in the bluff area with trails in town.
Okay.
Michelle?
I just want to state again that this is why I think Paul and I are on board with having some type of funding put in place that allows the city to have a fund set aside so that when maintenance has to happen on one of the trails, we're not always digging to find that money or pushing aside another project or saying, well, if we let it go too long now, it's going to cost double. I think the whole idea is you start building and then funding and then setting aside funds to maintain, just like we have that facility fund and the infrastructure fund. It's the same idea. And I think that would help take care of some of your concern there, Mr. Thurley, from like a financial perspective. If we have the money set aside in a fund that we can use for grants or for maintaining, it becomes less of a burden on the taxpayer that every time we have to raise taxes to fix something that we were supposed to maintain in the first place. Or at least that's the way I'm looking at our park plan in the future.
Paul?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the some organizations that have already collaborated with the city in developing the new trailhead at Sugarloaf to the ice climbing wall. Rock Alliance of Winona and the Minnesota Climbers Association. I mean, they've gone up there and they've really done a bunch of clearing. There is an extreme, immense amount of buckthorn, and at the top of the bluff where the ice climbing wall is really littered with Oriental bittersweet, which we're really struggling with. And Healthy Lake Winona has already been talking about collaborating with the Rec Alliance of Winona and the city to try to get up there and get some of those seed trees removed, actually volunteering our own time And so there's quite a bit of collaborative work from other organizations that are helping to come in and maintain the trails and do some clearing on behalf of the city to make the trail work. So I think you can look forward to seeing more of that in the future.
That's a good point. Anybody else? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Item 5.3 is the project fine welcoming statement.
I know Fatima is here from Project Fine. Fatima, do you have some brief comments you'd like to make?
Good evening, Mayor, Council Member, Steve. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I feel like I'm coming home, and I feel very welcomed here. So I'm here tonight to talk about welcoming statement that we put together. But this is actually much more than just welcoming statement. Community Healthcare Transformation Project is a project that we receive funding from Center for Prevention from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota. This is a project, one of several similar projects around the state that engage nonprofit and healthcare institutions, including Winona Health, who has a similar project based on food equity. Our project, Project Fine, received the same funding to do a research project with refugee and immigrants. The goal of this project is identify health inequities, share information, and pursue changes that promote equity. So what did we do with this funding and with this 3 years contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield? In 2017, we started to do listening sessions with refugee and immigrants in our region to see what they think the biggest issue and challenges are of being healthy and inclusive and participating in community. After several months of these listening sessions, we collected information and put together the findings. I'm sure everybody saw this. I shared with over 30 different institutions and organizations the findings of this. What we really learned through this project in first year is that many of our refugee and immigrants, most of them appreciate what we have here. They love our community, they make this home, but still we have some issues that we need to address and work on. So the one of biggest 5 findings that we identify was isolation, communication. It's not that people don't want to participate in our community life, they just don't know how or don't know how to access everything that we have. But we know that isolation is not good for no one. So that was one of the biggest challenges. And then second biggest challenges was experiencing racism in some institutions and service providers that they go to do the business. I want to share with you, and I'm sure you already heard me talking about this, that we did interview with 93 individuals from different backgrounds, 23 people from 23 countries. We had men and women, we had people with no formal education, we had people with PhD, we had people that are so new, a few months in country, we have people that have been here 40 years. So we really wanted to hear the voices of diverse group of people. So after first year, when we share all these findings with businesses and institutions, we, in year number 2, we're supposed to address this finding that we learned. So we formed a leadership group that had 18 different institutions and organizations and 23 individuals that participate in this. This group put together worked for several months on addressing those challenges and what we can do in our each organization and businesses to address these challenges. So this leadership group of Winona, including Winona City that was around the table, came up with a welcoming statement that will be a collective statement for all those involved, that they wanted to promote welcoming in their businesses organization from the top leadership to the front line employees. So the statement, I'm sure you all saw the statement, or I sent that to Steve, and then there are action steps that we all will take in our own businesses and organizations. So I'm here tonight to share with you that so far from all those individuals and organizations that participate, we have 10 already adopted statements, including Winona County, Winona State, City of Goodview, City of St. Charles, Winona St. Charles School District, Winona School District, and many others. And then I'm tonight here to ask you to this welcoming statement and identify steps that you want to do in your institution about welcoming and making sure that everybody has same access and respect when they do business with us. I hope that nobody can say no to something like that. So if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm also very grateful to City of Winona for being first city in Minnesota to be a welcoming city. And when I'm going around the state now, they're saying that Winona and Project Fine is like a poster child for this region, because we're really doing an amazing job here on this. And I want to thank you all for what you're doing on welcoming and inclusion and all this that make us feel good in this community.
Thank you for your good work too in the community.
Thank you. And you know I can talk all night about this.
That's why I said brief.
I'd make a motion to adopt the attached resolution.
Second.
All right, motion by Michelle and seconded by Paul. Further discussion? I'm glad we're finally getting on board here. So we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, add
Thank
the
you
city
so
of
much.
Winona to
And I
that long
hope to
list
see
of
you all
yours.
tomorrow night at St. Mary's for our annual report. Thank you.
All right,
And item 7.1 is council concerns.
we'll start with George.
Get ready for the snow.
Then we'll go to Paul.
I just want to echo the remarks earlier about snow removal. It's a trying winter for all of us. I would, remind everyone to be careful with your removing the snow from your roof. This is probably one of the worst ice damming seasons we've had since 2010, 2011. Also, keep in mind, and I mean, really, if I think back 64, 65, 68, 69, 75, 2000, 2001.
I remember that one.
So think about those snow covers and what happened those springs. So Keith, do you know what I'm talking about? And so look forward to some high water this spring. Also, I want to let the council and the community know that there is no longer a high-speed rail commission. It is now the Great River Rail Commission officially, and we've updated our website, and we've rebranded, and you'll be seeing some of that information coming across in social media. Also, I want to thank my colleagues on council and friends and family for their well wishes with my recent health event a couple weeks ago. And as you can tell, I'm alive and well and doing just dandy. And yes, I did bike to meeting tonight. Thank you.
All right, Michelle?
We got our annual fire department report, which reminded me that they do some spectacular work in town. They go to the schools, they meet with the students, and they try to encourage them to be better equipped for a potential fire. And just personal anecdote, my nephew came home with his homework, and it had a list of everything your house is supposed to have, and I just happened to be there helping with homework, and we walked around the house, and he's like, oh my goodness, there's not a smoke detector in this bedroom, and there's not a smoke detector in this bedroom. And it made him think of how important that is. And if you can get a child who can go to his dad and say, Dad, I mean, there's not smoke detectors in my house, and then they put them in, they save lives. So from a very simple way that they do that, it's a great program, and I had not realized how impactful it is for young kids without endangering their lives or putting them in front of a fire to see what it really is about. They get the connection. So thank you, Fire Department.
Eileen?
I was going to mention the same thing. Thanks to our fire department and the street department. I know that our fire department has done some wonderful work, and I'm sure they're fielding calls right now about, gas lines and everything, because all of that stuff happens now. I called just the other day with a question. So I wanted to thank them. I also wanted to congratulate Visit Winona for winning 2 awards at the Explore Minnesota Tourism Conference, and thank them for all the great work they do in bringing people to our wonderful city. So congratulations to the staff there.
And Al?
A couple of things. Again, I share the accolades to our snow plowing, street department crew for their work and keeping us reasonable in this particular winter season. And I speak of that from a 65 sandbagger perspective. And I also experienced something that, you know, those in the First Ward really haven't experienced as much as George has in the Fourth Ward the other day. In fact, it was on Valentine's Day when a train cut through the west end of town and decided to stop for exactly 35 minutes through that part of town. So I sympathize with our citizens that are seeing that almost on a daily basis in the east part of Winona. And I also noticed this afternoon there was another train that was stopped through our community, and I've talked to our city manager about it, and there's, other than continual reminders from the railroad, I guess there's a lot that we really can't encourage the railroad to do other than have patience. And I encourage people when they are stuck behind a train to have patience and plan ahead for the fact that the trains may interrupt their travel through town. And Winona's not that big anyway. But I know the city is going forward with the anticipation lights at Mankato, and that'll be in pretty soon as well, which will help a little bit. Also, there's a Steamboat Days Fish Fry fundraiser this Friday at the Eagles in Winona, so help support Steamboat Days. And then some condolences. Betty McNally passed away. She and Bruce were builders, McNally builders, and they built quite a bit of residential and town homes in our community. And also sympathy to the Roger Metz family. Roger, definitely a part of our community through the hospital and through his other community works. He is a great guy and definitely is missed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
On the consent agenda, there are 3 items. Approval of the minutes from February 4th, a claim against the city by Dylan Martinez, and a claim against the city by Glenda Melcheski.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Al, seconded by Michelle. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
You're a trooper, George.